Hi, welcome back to another video with the British Bachelor, and today we're going to be cooking chili con carne, Bachelor style. This is a special video for a very good friend, Jason. Thank you for the request. This is just for you. And it may not be an authentic Mexican recipe, but we live in England, so we've got to make do with what we've got. And we do have a secret ingredient as well. Now, things that you're going to need, this is enough for 4 people, by the way, that I'm doing. You're going to need a couple of sticks of celery. I've got running out of celery, so I'm actually going to use 3 sticks of celery. You're going to need an onion. You're going to need 2 cloves of garlic, if your cloves of garlic are that size. If not, for that size, use about 4. I reckon at least 4, maybe 5. 500 grams of minced beef. You can also use chunks of beef instead. That works really well. Tin of chopped tomatoes, tin of kidney beans. You can also use black-eyed peas or black-eyed beans. Some chili flakes, some chili powder. What I'm also going to use, I'm going to use a bit of smoked paprika to give it a little bit of a smoky flavour. And my secret ingredient, some dark chocolate. Bear with me on this, a little bit of that works really well. Now the first thing you're going to have to do is get your big pan. Like this one here, this is perfect, big saucepan. You can also use a deep frying pan if you've got one that's got a lid on it, or a saucepan. But you're going to need some kind of big pan that's going to hold all of this volume and be able to cook. And this recipe, it takes about, I reckon, about 10 minutes to prepare, and then anywhere between half an hour and several hours to cook. Oh, other 2 ingredients that you will need. You'll need some olive oil, and you will need some stock. You can use beef stock, you can use chicken stock, you could even use vegetable stock at a push, but I wouldn't recommend anything else. So, first step, chopping the onion. I do already have a video of this. Get your chopping board, carefully slice the ends off, and here's my tip for peeling an onion. You chop it in half. It's easier to peel because you can grab hold of a corner and start to peel it. So when you peel it, you can put the peel to one side. Ooh. Or even better, pro tip for cleaning up is if you peel it over the bin, then you don't have to worry about it. To chop it, don't have to worry about chopping it any particular way. So I'm just going to chop it lengthways down here like this, and then I'm going to cut it across like that to give it a rough dice. Doesn't have to be particularly much. So here are those ingredients again in a list this time, so you can put it on pause and write it down. Remember, this is for 4 people. So we've got 1 large onion, 4 normal sized garlic cloves or 1 or 2 giant ones, 2 or 3 celery sticks, about half a tablespoon chili flakes, 1 tablespoon of chili powder, half a tablespoon of smoked paprika, and those you can adjust the amounts on depending on how spicy or not you want it. If you really like it spicy, yeah, go ahead and add extra to these. If you don't like it so spicy, then you maybe want to use just half a tablespoon of the chili powder. 1 400 gram can of chopped tomatoes, 1 400 gram can of kidney beans, 300 to 500 mils of beef stock, about 500 grams of minced or diced beef, and again you could use corn or whatever else you want if you're vegetarian. 30 to 90 grams of good dark chocolate, again add that to taste, and salt and pepper to taste. When you chop the onion, before you do anything else, what I recommend, get your pan, kind of medium heat, and stick in a glug of olive oil. If you want to measure it, like 2 tablespoons, I'm just going to eyeball it and see if it needs any more. While that heats up, I'm going to take my celery, and again I'm going to dice that similarly to the onion. So I'm going to actually lay it out in a strip. Firstly, carefully cut it down the middle, and then roughly chop the celery like so. Get rid of the end bits. When you chop your celery, time to do your garlic. Huge clove of garlic here. Brilliant. So to help me peel this one, I'm going to chop the end off it. Normally what I do is just smack the garlic clove, but this is too big to do that. I'm going to peel the garlic, and then I'm going to chop it up and crush it. I've never seen a garlic clove this big, I'm quite excited. Phrasing. Once it's peeled, cut it into slices. Look at that, gorgeous. Cut it into slices, and because that's so big, I'm going to chop it up a little bit more. Into kind of little squares, little cubes. They don't have to be particularly neat. And at this point you can crush it, you can just leave it like that, doesn't really matter, because it's going to get cooked down. And it'll taste fantastic. Now, the oil in the pan should be about hot enough, so I'm going to turn up the pan a little bit more. I'm going to get a wooden spoon. I'm going to stick my mince into the pan. Use a wooden spoon, break it all up. And adjust the heat so it's just cooking nicely. Now I'm just going to see if this light will turn on. Ah, there we go. Keeps blowing the bubbles over there. If you want to crush the garlic, you're going to need a little bit of salt on the garlic, help it hold together. Then with your knife, just use the bladed side and very carefully resting your fingers on the back of the knife, push down into the garlic and crush it into a paste. Good fun. I'm only going to crush about half the garlic because I like to have difference in textures. Very tasty. Right, I'm going to turn up the pan. I'm going to make sure this meat all gets browned off, and then we'll come back to it when that's done. When the meat's brown all over, and you've driven off quite a lot of the water that might come out, get yourself a slotted spoon and you can remove the meat. And the same applies if you're using diced beef as well as with minced beef. If you want a vegetarian option, you can always use corn, I guess. When you've taken it all out, you might have a little bit of oil in the bottom from the meat and from leftover. If you do, that's great, you can carry on using that. If not, you can always add a little bit of extra if you need it. And then you're going to add in your onion, celery and garlic. So a little pro tip, if you've all got it on one chopping board, you can carefully tip it in, using a knife to help guide it. It does take a bit of practice to do that without spilling it all over your work surface. And give it a stir, and again, still medium-low heat, or medium-high heat, and you're going to cook it until it's all softened and broken apart. And we'll have a little look at that when it's done. So, when the mixture in here is nice and softened, the onions are nice and softened, and have been cooked down a bit. It smells amazing, by the way. The next step is we're going to add in the spices and cook for a little bit longer. I'm going to start off with the crushed chilies. I'm going to add approximately half a tablespoon for 4 people. Depending on how spicy you like it, you can add more or less. I'm going to add a full tablespoon of the chili powder. using these wonderful measuring spoons that cost a lot of money and definitely didn't come out of a Christmas cracker. And then, just to give it a smoky flavour, and I really like paprika, I'm going to add again about half a tablespoon of paprika. And my Mexican friends are probably going to be maybe a little bit annoyed with that one. So let me know what you think, Carla and Martin, about the addition of paprika, and indeed the recipe in general. So I'm going to give it a stir and coat it, and that smells really good, and that is in part smoked paprika, which wonderful ingredient. John Paolo, he will probably be a big fan of the addition of the smoked paprika. When that's cooked for a few minutes, I'm then going to add in the chopped tomatoes. I'm going to add in the kidney beans, which I've already drained. And then I'm going to add in my beef stock. Normally I'd make up a beef stock with a stock cube, but because of the COVID-19 at the moment, they're very difficult to get hold of, so I've had to get the stock pots, which are more expensive. They do taste good, I'll give them that, but they're a little less flexible. In that goes, and then that's supposed to be with 500 ml of water, but a little tip here, rinse out your can of tomatoes, and get all that tomatoey goodness into there, and give that a good stir, and increase the heat. At this point, I'm also going to add a bit of salt. The salt I've got is the Lakeland Good for Everything salt. This isn't a plug, they're not paying me, but it is really good with everything. It's got a mixture of herbs in there. It's really good quality salt, and it really is good for everything, especially steak. Really, really good for steak. So well done, Lakeland. Grind of freshly ground pepper, and thank you my friend Gavin, who actually bought me these many years ago, but they get used regularly, so thank you, Gavin. Give that a good stir. Add in your beef. Give it another good stir. You could also, if you really want at this point, add some brown sugar. I'm trying to be healthy at the moment, so I'm not going to do that. So, you're going to wait for it to come to the boil, or towards the boil. When that's happened, we're going to put the lid on. You can then cook it for half an hour, up to as long as you want, 3, 4, 5, 6 hours, all day long. The longer the better. And one of the great things about this recipe is that after you've cooked it the first time, you can then keep it in the fridge or even in the freezer, reheat it, and reheated it's going to taste even better. It's going to condense those flavours a bit more. It's wonderful. This is why I'm cooking it for 4 people, because actually only my wife and myself who are going to eat it. And we'll have it for lunch tomorrow as well. So you know, it's brilliant. It can do multiple meals. So it's starting to come to the boil now. So I'm going to put the lid on. So this is why you need a pan with a lid. So if you've got a frying pan that's got a lid on, that's brilliant. I'm going to turn the temperature down. I'm going to leave it cooking like that for a long time. Now, if you're going to do rice, you can cook the rice about 20 minutes before this is finished cooking. And you can serve it with other vegetables, salad, things like that. If you've got any ideas about what you'd serve it with, leave them in the comments below. And while this is cooking for the next couple of hours, I'm going to go enjoy a nice rum and sit in my armchair and read a good book. So after it's been cooking for long enough, so as I said, minimum of half an hour, but ideally, you know, a good couple of hours. Take the lid off. You should stir it periodically throughout the cooking. Make sure the liquid level's about right. And then time for the secret ingredient, the dark chocolate. So get a good dark chocolate, may as well use something that's relatively decent, and just break a couple of chunks. I've got just a couple of squares that size, it's about 15 grams, and break it up and stir it in. You can use more or less, but it's always a good idea to start off with less, and then you can always add. You can't take it out. Stir it in, make sure it all melts in, and then you can give it a little taste for seasoning. See if it needs any more chili, if it needs any more salt or pepper, or perhaps, ooh, spicy. You want to add a bit more chocolate. If you have made it too spicy, you can add some double cream or single cream to it, or even milk will work, and that will help take out some of the spice, as will some good yogurt as well. That will help reduce the spice level a little bit. Not necessarily very traditional, especially the yogurt, which will give it a bit more flavour, or different flavour. Definitely not a Mexican thing, I don't think, but if you've put too much spice in and you're going to find it inedible, then that is a good tip for reducing some of the spice levels. So after you've given it a stir, checked it for seasoning again, time to serve up. So, get yourself a bowl, get some rice in there, and there'll be a video coming up on making rice in a minute. When you've got your rice in there, get yourself a ladle. Ladle your chili over the rice, and then ready to eat. On the rice making video, there's a lot of myths about making rice, a lot of things that you do and don't need to do to make a perfect pan of rice. And I'll cover all those and look at the things that are out there that aren't necessary, and I'll show you how to make a pan of rice that's simple and perfectly cooked with no stickiness or clumpiness or anything like that. It's dead simple actually, but there's a few little techniques that make it really simple to do it the easy way. Alright, hope you enjoy it as much as this, so thank you again to Jason for the suggestion. And I hope Carla and Martin, my two Mexican friends, have not upset you too much with my take on a chili con carne. Okay, take care guys, see you in another video soon. Bye bye.